Alright, I'm at the point where I'm going to put my indicators on for the switches, for the knobs I mean. I'm going to take just enough plastic off to where it doesn't get stuck under the nut. I hate seeing plastic come out from under a knob. I've got my knob puller. It's just a spark plug wire puller, and I took down the edges just a bit to make them almost sharp. I had to take one of the screws out just to get an edge off the plastic. There it comes. I'll get the knife out of here before I scratch something. You have to find a compromise. It's easier with it on the guitar or off the guitar, where you got no leverage when it's off the guitar. You got big fingers when it's on the guitar. Pretty much where I wanted, I think. And it moved, of course. Yeah, that'd be good. Hold it with your thumb. Tighten without killing it. Put it in the 10 position. And push. There we go. I think you might be able to barely see it. I can't tell until I look at it on the computer. Okay, there they are, if you can see them or not. What I did was purchase a ready-made pick guard. It has 3 single coil pickups in it, 2 tone knobs and 1 volume knob, and a 5-way switch. Well, the knobs are alphas, and come to find out they're alpha brand, and come to find out they are just junk. So it would be it's cheaper just to take them out and replace them rather than to build the pick guard piece by piece. So I'm still financially ahead on this project. I need to make some shims for the neck joint. The neck is really loose, and so I need to tighten up the neck for stability's sake, and so that it can transfer the vibrations from the strings. So I've got this 2x2. I've got quite a lot of this, about a couple hundred feet of this from my job. So It'll be good for shims. I'll cut a couple of thin strips as thin as I can, and then I'll have to sand them down. .1/64. Pretty much paper thin. And on one side, let's see, that's the low E side. 1/32 on the high E side. One thing I neglected to show you was what I ended up doing was using this to shave down the shim, and on that 2x2, you know, so I had quite a bit of space on one side, so it ended up looking like a piece of paper connected to this. So anyway, that's what I didn't show you. I shaved away at this before I sanded it. And boy, I'll tell you, that took some time. I'm in southern Minnesota, and it's the mid-range in April, so it's too cold outside to take the guitar outside and put shielding paint on it. And I can't do it in the house, it stinks too much. So, I'm going to work on the neck. Got my homemade fret puller, a nipper from hardware store, my homemade fret bender, and a fret hammer. This new fret wire measures pretty close. It sure looks a lot smaller, but I guess the numbers don't lie. Trying to take them up little by little so don't chip up the wood too bad. There's one chip I'll have to glue in. Also on this guitar, on this fretboard, there's little chips, triangle chips on the sides of the fretboard to make it look like the tang. To each his own, I guess. So I'll have to take those out. That's going to take some time. There's another pretty good chip I'll have to take care of. Okay, I got all the frets out. And this neck is really dry and brittle. I'm going to have to do a lot of work on putting chips back in. But I've got an old vitamin pill container here that I'm putting all the dust in. But right now I still have to dig out all these little triangle chips.
small I even broke off the tip of it just by trying to pull it out by hand. Ridiculous.
So I'm going to score the edges around the nut, loosen it up a bit.
I know there's a bunch of glue on the low E side.
And there it is. I'm looking to see if the nut slot has a radius to it, like the nut did. I can't tell because the nut has a radius, but like this. It has a radius, but not very convincing. So, well, I don't see any light gaps, so it might actually be. Yep, there is a rocking motion, so it does have a radius. Alright. Let's see what size this original nut is. 1/8 inch thick. And the bone, I know, has to go down quite a bit. It's 5/32. Yeah, alright. I'm using a fresh piece of emery cloth, medium, because that's what I have on hand. I'm going to save the bone dust for any mistakes that I make, any additions I need to make to holes, etc. Before I do that, probably don't need to do this, but even the back of that emery cloth is kind of rough. The advantage of using a fresh piece of emery cloth or sandpaper or whatever, again, you can save the dust, and you can see where it's coming off. It's coming. Here's a beginner's tip. That was not square. I'm going to have to be more careful and level it out before I run out of bone. Okay, a couple things. I wrote body on one side. I can't read it. Okay, so anyway, I wrote body on one side because, you know, it's wood. It's not going to be perfect, so when you start filing, it's going to be one way. It's going to fit great. And now I penciled the bottom in order to try to get rid of that curve that I've got going on. It's not flat. I am thinning down the mass of the bone now to fit into the bone slot, or not slot, just small circles. The high E side of this nut, or I should say the high E side of the neck, has more wood, so I could either trim the wood or keep going on that side of the bone. Hey, there we go. Perfect.